What if the biggest mistake you're making with your avoidant ex is trying at all? What if every text, every call, every carefully crafted paragraph you send is actually pushing them further away, cementing their decision that leaving you was the right choice? You're playing a game you don't understand, using a rule book they threw away a long time ago. The real key to making an avoidant not just notice you, but deeply and profoundly miss you, isn't a magic text or a secret phrase. It's a deafening silence. And the reason this silence works is far more complex than just making them miss you. It's a psychological key that unlocks their deepest, most hidden fears, the ones they've never even admitted to themselves. What you're about to discover isn't just a tactic. It's an expose on the avoidant mind. It reveals why your absence is the only presence they can't ignore, and how disappearing completely is the only way to finally be seen. The first thing you have to understand is that you were never in a relationship with just one person. You were in a relationship with the person you saw, and the person they secretly wished they could be. This is the avoidant's inner paradox. On the outside, they build a fortress of solitude. They champion their independence. They claim to need nobody. And they push away intimacy like it's a threat to their very existence. Their walls are high, their gates are locked, and they make it very clear that they are the sole ruler of their own emotional kingdom. But inside that fortress, hidden from everyone, is a secret garden. It's a rich, vibrant fantasy world where they have the perfect relationship. In this world, the connection is deep, the understanding is absolute, and the love is unconditional. They live in this fantasy, they nurture it, and they protect it fiercely. They build this perfect partner in their mind for one devastating reason, so that no real person, including you, can ever measure up. Your human flaws, your needs, your desire for closeness, all of it was a constant reminder that you were not the fantasy. But that entire dynamic shatters the moment you decide to disappear. This brings us to one of the avoidant's most powerful weapons, the phantom ex. Every avoidant has one, a past partner who is now placed on an untouchable pedestal. This person wasn't perfect at the time. In fact, the avoidant likely pushed them away for the very same reasons they pushed you away. But with time and distance, that person's flaws have been forgotten. Their memory has been polished into a shining example of the one that got away. The avoidant uses this phantom as a shield. Whenever you got too close to they would unconsciously compare you to this idealized ghost, and you would always come up short. It was the perfect deactivation strategy to keep you at arm's length. But here is the shocking truth they will never tell you. When you implement true, uncompromising no contact, you are officially auditioning for the role of the next Phantom X. The job vacancy has opened up, and your silence is the application. By becoming unavailable, you are no longer the flawed real-life partner who needs too much. You are now a memory, and memories can be perfected. They can be edited, romanticized, and yearned for without any of the risks of real intimacy. Your silence gives them the canvas to start painting a masterpiece of what you were, and it's a masterpiece they can safely fall in love with from a distance. Suddenly, the person who felt suffocating becomes the one that got away. But for this to work, you have to understand the toxic cycle you just broke. For so many people, this cycle feels impossible to escape. It's the anxious, avoidant death trap, and it's likely the dynamic that defined your entire relationship. Think of it as a twisted dance. The avoidant partner feels their independence being threatened and takes a step back. The anxious partner feels the distance, panics, and lunges forward to close the gap. This lunge, the flood of texts, the tearful phone calls, the demands for reassurance, is like a blast of fire to the avoidant. It confirms their worst fear, that relationships are an engulfing inferno that will burn their identity to the ground. Your natural instincts to fix the problem become their undeniable proof that they need to run. Every plea for connection you make is another bar on their mental prison. They see your anxiety not as a cry for love, but as an attempt to control them. This is why no contact feels so counterintuitive, yet is so incredibly effective. It's the first time you've stopped dancing their dance. By going silent, you are dropping the rope in a game of tug-of-war they were determined to win. You are disabling their entire defense system, which for so long has been powered by your pursuit. Your silence forces them into a new reality where they are no longer being chased, and in that new, quiet reality, they are left alone, with only their own thoughts for the first time. Of course, the first thing you'll probably see is something that feels like a dagger to the heart. You open Instagram, and there it is, a picture of them, smiling, out with friends, looking completely unbothered. They look free. They look relieved. This is the separation elation. And it is a lie. This initial burst of happiness is real, but it's not happiness from being free of you. It's a euphoric high from having their primary drug, perceived independence, injected straight into their veins. After feeling suffocated for so long, this first breath of air feels incredible. They mistake this temporary relief for a permanent solution. They believe they have escaped the problem, not realizing the problem was never you, but their own inability to balance closeness with selfhood. This elation is built on a foundation of sand. It's a fleeting high that lasts only as long as the echo of the breakup is still fresh. But what happens when the high wears off? What happens when the nights get quiet and the friends go home? The silence you've created begins to creep in. The freedom that once felt so exhilarating starts to feel like emptiness. They feel free for a moment, but that freedom comes with a deafening echo, and in that silence, their brain, now starved of the conflict it was used to, starts to play devastating tricks on them. Our brains are lazy storytellers. They don't remember events accurately. They remember the highlights and the ending. Psychologists call this the peak end rule. When a relationship ends badly, the most powerful memory is the end, the fights, the tears, the painful conversations. The avoidant clings to these negative end moments because they justify the decision to leave. Your attempts to contact them after the breakup only reinforce this negative ending, but when you go completely silent, you stop giving them new end moments to focus on. The painful memories which were once so sharp and clear begin to lose their edge. Time and distance start to blur the conflict, and what rushes in to fill that void? The peaks, the laughter, the inside jokes, the moment they first saw you, the vacation you took together, the feeling of comfort on a quiet Sunday morning. Your silence gives their mind the space it needs to stop focusing on why it ended and start reminiscing about why it was so good. They start rewriting the history of your relationship, not out of a conscious choice, but because their brain is naturally seeking out the positive moments to make sense of the growing feeling of loss. The negative memories that justified the breakup begin to fade, and a new, more powerful feeling takes over: nostalgia. This nostalgia then combines with one of the most powerful forces in human psychology: scarcity. As long as you are trying to contact them, you are an option. You are available. You are on the shelf waiting to be picked up. They feel in control because they know they can have you back if they really wanted to. But the moment you commit to true no contact, you are no longer an option. You are a loss. You have become a scarce resource. And human beings are psychologically wired to desire what they cannot have. This flips a switch in their brain from "I need space from this person" to "I might have lost this person forever." It's no longer about whether they want the relationship. It's about the shocking realization that they can no longer have it. This triggers a deep-seated fear of having made a permanent, irreversible mistake. Their core wound isn't just a fear of being engulfed. It's also a terror of being alone and making the wrong life choices. Your silence and your perceived ability to move on present them with the ultimate evidence that they may have made the biggest error of their lives by letting you go. The unbearable weight of your absence becomes heavier than the fear of intimacy ever was. This is the tipping point. It's the moment the silence finally breaks. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens after the separation elation has crashed and burned. It happens after the nostalgia has rewritten the story of your relationship. And it happens when the fear of your permanent absence becomes a terrifying reality. This is when they start rereading your old texts. This is when they find a reason, any reason, to drive by your place. Their internal monologue becomes a storm of what ifs. What if I was too hasty? What if I overreacted? No one else seems to understand me like they did. What if I can't find that again? The emotional fortress they built begins to crumble from the inside. The silence you created has done its work. It has starved their defenses and fed their longing. The moment they finally reach out, whether it's with a simple hey or a long paragraph of their own, is not a sign that they have been magically cured. It is a sign of their ultimate vulnerability. It's an admission of defeat in their war against their own need for connection. It is the moment they finally stop running from you and start running from the loneliness they can no longer bear. In the end, the power of no contact is that it uses the avoidant's own psychological framework against them. It's a form of emotional jujitsu. You don't fight their need for distance. You grant it to them in such an overwhelming dose that it becomes a punishment instead of a relief. You stop being the threat and transform into the idealized fantasy. You allow their own mind to romanticize the past and create a fear of a future without you. You flip the script so completely that their core wound shifts from a fear of being trapped with you to a fear of being lost without you. It works because it's not a game of manipulation, but an act of breaking a dysfunctional pattern. But this reveals the most important question of all, one you can only answer after the silence has done its work. The real power of no contact isn't just in its ability to make them miss you. It's in giving you the time and clarity to see the relationship for what it truly was. It gives you the strength to ask yourself, is the ultimate goal to win back someone who instinctively runs from love? Or is it to become so secure in your own worth that you only attract those who